Cosmic Philosophy by Anruda Zith. The God Problem. One of the fundamental flaws of human understanding is the deification of the self, externalizing personal traits into the mysteries of those phenomena beyond normal cognitive apprehension. The evolution of intellectual prowess and correct comprehension of cosmic order and function has long been in stasis due to a critical error in assumption, which has led to much ignorance and a continuity of misunderstanding. Man, in his primitive intellect, through philosophical deduction, has tried to discern the origin and nature of the universe. Many millions of mentally inferior men and women long have deprived the acquiescence of true understanding in assuming wrongly that the universe was made by some omnipresent divine being's will into manifestation. Of course, by projecting the characteristics of his own nature outward and into the unexplained, dreamy imagery of its own subconscious, production becomes an erratically flawed hypothesis towards what had even upon its outset stood a distorted question. The cycle of religious delusion. Thus, the multitude of imperceptible thought processes and the average intelligences shared by a rather stupid and redundant majority travel endlessly in the same lesser progression of thought and ideas. It typically begins with the insane ravings of a schizophrenic lunatic that hears the sound of a hallucinatory voice manufactured by defunct brain function, driven to pursue the object of his lunacy with reckless fervor. His captivated peers, memorized by the loon's antics, come to identify his split personality as the influence of an unseen deity. And invariably the loon's antics get chronicled and handled down through successive generation, exaggerated and deified. It is thusly the phantom secondary persona of said lunatic becomes the attributes and characteristics of the deity for those class Anruda people who identify with the lunatic of their age. His persona is exalted and enthroned as a representative god. This, however, is a fault of imagination and has no legitimate purpose in the structure of the real universe, for I can exclaim relentlessly for an entire year that the sun is made of water, and even go as far as to delude myself into believing this absurdity. But it is not so. Finally, when those under the banner of the first mentioned God are defeated by a foreign people who have created their own representative God, the old God dies with its gravely fanatical assembly of daydreaming imbeciles, and the other mass of people then enthrones their God as the one true deity within their clouded fancy perception of their environment. A summary will lend greater clarity. There is no God. The word itself is false. God could not have created the universe because God is an invention of man. Man invented God as a mechanism to explain how he was created. Then the best way to solve the God problem is to do away with the word and the meaning, as mathematically speaking, they have no utility and are false. Universe equals paradox. The idea that universe was created is incorrect. It is lifeless, thoughtless, and hardly familiar to terrestrial forms. A proper analogy would be to say that the universe is an independently functioning mechanism. It is itself a paradox, indeed the only one, eternal and ineffable and unchangeable. There is no valid reason or logical explanation for it to exist at all. It is a continuous expanding and contracting band of cosmic elasticity. All the many variations in substance, form, and experience are but limitless elaborations and byproduct emanating from this paradoxical anomaly. As such, time and space are merely illusions engendered as consequence of existing within the cosmic cell. Time is an illusion caused by travel through the membrane, whereas space is the illusion cast via the separation of objects within the membrane wall. We can't adapt
To all the lies, to the idiot box, to the evening's expired excrement. We can adapt. Please stop feeding me your shit. I do not want it. Stop trying to convince us all that nonsense is valid or valued. I do not try to control, only to let go and engender to reclaim the peace that we did not know was actually so fragile. The many things the human entirety failed to understand and then took them for granted. To stand there now a ways out in the natural world and absorb the great mystery of the magnificence of simplicity, the calm of stillness, and the majesty of silence.